Now we are going to talk about how to graph in standard form. Okay, how we start with our equation and then we go to graph it. And then I also want to talk about how you can graph it in this other form called Intercept Form. Okay, so guys, really quick, this is page 3 and page 4. But y'all, what do you notice about these two forms? What does this kind of look like with the two parentheses right there? That's our factored form, y'all. So one of them is going to be simplified. That's the first one we're doing. That's our standard form. Then we're going to look at our factored form. It all ties together. Okay, so just like we did on the previous page, if we want to graph this, guys, what's the first thing, if it's in standard form, what's the first thing you could graph right away? Your y-intercept, right? We could go in here and we could identify our y-intercept is 0, -7. And we could graph it right there. Do y'all feel good about that? Because our c value is equal to -7. Okay? Now, the second thing that we can graph. Okay, so now I'm going to identify here. A is -1. B is +8. And C, and then the C is that -7. Okay? So guys, the next thing that I would do is I would find your axis of symmetry. Now, how do we find our axis of symmetry? We do x equals -b over 2 times a. So what does that give us? -8 over -2, which reduces down to 4. Do y'all feel good about that? So my axis of symmetry is x equals 4. So guys, then mentally, what you can do is you can graph your axis of symmetry. So guys, can you reflect something across your axis of symmetry? Yes. So guys, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4 away, we can graph 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can graph another little dot on the exact opposite side. It's symmetrical. It cuts it in half. And then really, guys, the only other point we need is our vertex. Well, guys, how do we find the vertex? What are we going to do to find our vertex, y'all? Plug in your 4 into your equation. So I'm going to plug in 4 for my x. So it's going to be -4 squared plus 8 times 4 minus 7. So that gives me what? -16 plus 32 minus 7. I think that gives us, what is that? Yeah, -9 or +9. +9, right? So that gives us a 9. So f of 4 is equal to 9. So guys, my vertex is actually going to be way up here. Do y'all feel okay with that? So guys, if you have those 3 points, technically you can graph your parabola, okay, with your 3 points right there. Now remember, it's a curve, so please don't do it like a V. And guys, it's okay if it's not perfect. When I do it, I kind of do a little like, I do it really slow. It's kind of sketchy looking, all right? So then we can identify the rest of our key attributes here. Guys, is this going to be a minimum or a maximum? It's going to be a maximum because our A value is negative. The A value is negative, so it's sad. It opens down, and it's a maximum of 9. We don't know our X-intercepts yet, so I'm going to wait on that. Okay. Our domain is right here. That's the all real numbers. And our range is y is less than or equal to 9. Okay? So, honestly, it's not that different from what we just did. But, guys, one thing I want to show you that you can do is in fact, one thing I encourage you to do is to use your calculator right here. Okay? So, instead of, you can figure out your vertex algebraically like this. But, guys, to fill in the rest of your points here, what I would do is I'd go to my y equals, and I would type in negative x squared plus 8x minus 7. And then, first of all, I'm going to go to graph to see what it looks like. Okay. Does that look pretty good compared to what we did right there? Yeah, pretty good. And then, guys, you go to your table. Now, guys, remember, my vertex was a positive 4 over here. So I'm going to go scroll to the positive because I just looked at my graph. And, guys, what I like to do is I like to line my vertex up. I'm going to zoom in here. Okay? So you can see, yikes, it's like the glare is so strong. Okay. So I like to line my vertex up there. Do y'all see that? To where it's like right in the middle. And Rika, because I like to do what you're talking about. You see how my values are perfectly symmetrical across it? If you can get your top one and your bottom one to be the same, then you know you have your vertex right in the center. So guys, my vertex is 4, 9. Now from this table, can I identify my Y-intercept and my X-intercepts? I sure can. What's my X-intercept, y'all? 1, 0. That's one of them. What's my other X-intercept? 7, 0. So, y'all, I would use, so I was a little bit off. There we go. So, guys, what I would do is, yes, it is super important to be able to find the axis of symmetry in your vertex algebraically. Y'all, I would graph it in your calculator to be able to determine everything. Okay, determine everything else. So, guys, what I want you guys to do, and then use that table to fill in all this lovely information. So I'm actually going to start on 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's negative 7, 0, 5, 8, 9, 8, 5, 0. So now, guys, so I was able to look in my calculator. Oh, you couldn't see me doing that. Sorry. I was able to look in my calculator and get all those table values. And I can also graph it over here. So, guys, what I want y'all to do is I want you to practice on number 2 and number 3. Guys, plug it into your calculator and see where those table values shake out. If you guys notice on number 2, your Y-intercept is way at 0, 16. So guys, I would make those like worth 2 each, right? I would go like 4, 8, 12, 16. I would do it way up here. Does that make sense, y'all? So make it worth 2 each so it can fit on the graph. All right, y'all? And so when you guys do your graphs, or when you do it from here, I want you to type them in your calculator, your Y equals, okay? And see if you can find your table. Now, real quick, how many of y'all have a graphing calculator at home that you can use? Okay, some of us. If you do not have a graphing calculator, I want you to pay attention because I want to show you something called Desmos, okay? So this is, if you go to desmos.com, okay, when you first log in, desmos.com, when you first go there, it's like, ooh, let's learn together, okay? Then you type on the graphing calculator. Now, when you click in here, what you can do is, guys, and I have this linked for y'all on my Canvas page if you guys need to find it, okay? What you can do is you can say Y equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 16. And it graphs it for you right there. Isn't that so cool? And you can zoom out. You can move things around. So you can like do all this cool stuff. And guys, you are able to identify your little points. Like, oh, I guess I need to zoom up a little. There you go. Because it's like 16. That's way up here. But guys, it gives you your roots, your vertex, all your important points right there on Desmos. Now if you want to continue to fill out the rest of the table, you can also go here. You can copy it, and you can turn it into a table, actually, where it says convert to table. So you can actually turn it into a table if you want to turn it into a table. You can do some different things there. I like to just kind of, it usually highlights all the important points for you, so you can kind of see them right there. But guys, so that's a really cool tool and way to do this, is with Desmos.com. All right, y'all? Y'all feel good about that? So that is a way where you can still have access to see some of this stuff on your calculator. Okay? So I just want to make sure that you guys feel good about that. All right? So what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to take a few minutes, and I want you guys to try to graph numbers 2 and 3, just using your technology, okay? Using some good technology there. Identify your key points, all that good stuff, all right? And so I'm going to do this here. So my A value is 2. My B value is 12. We already recognized that the C value was 16. So then I'm going to go here. So my A value I know is positive. So it is going to open up because it's a smile. So we know that we're going to have a minimum here. So we know that's going to make this lovely guy minimum. But let's see if we can find our vertex and axis of symmetry. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in just a smidge. So we already have our Y-intercept. So now we need to find our vertex and our axis of symmetry. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say y equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 16. I'm going to hit graph so I can just see where it is. Okay, it's going to be over here in the negatives. So I know when I look at my table, I'm going to have to go over to the negatives. So it looks like, aha, there it is. So that's where they're symmetrical with each other. So -3 and -2. So that's going to be my vertex. Okay, and then, so my axis of symmetry is going to be built off of that there. So it's going to be x equals -3. So I'm going to graph. This guy right here. Here you go. So that's going to be -3. Excellent. And then
which one do you recommend? You can do
my X-Intercepts are -40 and -20.
You ready? I can go any day during spring break, so. I have never been to the rodeo before.
Okay.
My brother's showing a pig.
So it's going to be
FFA.
-40 and -30.
Yeah, someone's gonna buy it.
All right, guys, we are doing numbers 2 and 3 on our own right now, y'all. Let's make sure we're doing numbers 2 and 3. Great. Oh, is greater than, not less than. So y is greater than or equal to -2. And my domain be all real numbers there. All right. So then I'm going to go ahead and graph these to this lovely parabola. It's going to be a very skinny looking parabola here. There we go. You don't want to make it a V. Oh, and I guess I can reflect this one. Oh, yeah. Oh, whoops. I did values of 2 there, so I need to make sure that I have it there. I was like, what's wrong? Because that's worth 16. There we go. So I could have reflected my Y-intercept. That's what I should have done. Oh, that looks a little bit funky. So sorry about that. So my Y-intercept, I could have reflected it across that axis of symmetry right there, and I didn't. Sorry about that. It's going to look like that. I'm a little shaky. Sorry about that. That's supposed to be -4. -8. There. So then if we do this, we have, so then I go to my table, and I'm going to put in my table values. I'm going to start at -4, 0, -3, -2, -2, 0, -6, and then 0, 16. Now the only reason I didn't put my vertex in the center of the table is because I wanted my Y-intercept on the table, but you don't have to. You can just put your vertex in the center. Alright, so that's a good example of how you can graph from with your technology there. Alright guys, so a couple things that I want to talk about real quick. Alright guys, eyes up here. Alright? So guys, on these, while you're doing these guys, for example, on number 3. Alright guys, eyes on the screen please. Alright guys, for number 3, if you have to graph something like this one, when you are graphing it, I'm going to type in -1/3 x squared minus 2x, right? And then I'm going to hit graph because I want to see where it even is on the graph. The first thing you do, guys, is hit that graph to see what it looks like. All right, y'all? Now I know my vertex is over here in the negative region. So when I go to my table, I'm going to be looking for where things are. And look, I was already in the negatives. But guys, check it out. My vertex is right there at -3, -3. So guys, I can graph my vertex right away just from that table. Does that make sense, guys? So first look at your graph to see where you need to look on the table. Then go to your table and say, cool, my vertex is -3, -3. Then I have 0, 0, and -6, 0. Because, guys, my axis of symmetry is also going to go right through my vertex. So really, those are the 3 points that I need to make my graph. Now, guys, please do not just draw like a V. Please make it a little bit curved, all right? It is a curve, a parabola, all right? It's a U-shaped curve. So that is a pretty good example of what it would look like if we were going to graph it. Now, guys, one thing I want you guys to recognize about this equation over here, is there a C value? No, there's no C. So that's how we know that our X-intercept was 0, 0, or our Y-intercept was 0, 0. It so happened our X-intercept was also 0, 0. But that little guy right there helped us understand. Does that make sense, y'all? As you guys are kind of doing this. So hopefully we can start to see what we're doing here. So my axis of symmetry would be -3. My minimum would also be -3. Oh, no. Wait, what did I do wrong?
Good question.
I did something wrong, didn't I?
I don't know.
Oh, this is -1/3. Guys, look at my graph. Is that right? Did I match that at all? No. What did I do? It's not -3, -3. It's -3, +3. Y'all, I graphed it. I graphed the reflection. I apologize, y'all. See, going too fast. I didn't make it match there. There we go. The down is the right one. Sorry, not the up one. My bad. So, guys, it's not a minimum. It's a maximum of +3. Because our vertex is +3, not -3. That's what I get for going too fast, right? Now my X-intercepts are still the same at 0, 0 and 0, -6. And my, or -6, 0. Gosh, Okay. Okay, and my domain is all real numbers, and my range is y is less than or equal to positive 3. See? Go too fast. So this one's wrong. Don't do that one. Ugh. Okay? Yikes. Whew! That's a hot mess. All right? All right. So now, guys, I have one more thing that I want to talk to you guys about. Okay? So, you guys, for this one, I want to talk a little bit about intercept form. Okay, guys? So, guys, on this one, we're not going to do a lot of graphing with it, but what I want you, I'm not going to do a lot of graphing here. But, guys, when you're on your Delta Math, there's going to be some multiple choice questions about intercept form. And, guys, the nice thing about intercept form is it gives you your A value, and then it gives you your two roots, R1 and R2, because roots are your X-intercepts, right? So the equation is X minus R1 and X minus R2. Okay? So guys, I want you to be able to identify these roots here. So if I look on number 1, what is the root? What is my first root? What is R1 going to be? Negative 2, because it's X minus the root. So my first X-intercept is going to be negative 2. What is my next X-intercept going to be? Negative 4. So guys, my two X-intercepts are negative 2 and negative 4. So guys, intercept form is really nice because you're able to identify the intercepts. Okay? Now, we're not going to get too heavy into this today. But guys, what is my A value for this one right here? 1/2. So because it's a positive, it's going to open up. So y'all, today on your homework, you guys are going to have to recognize where the X-intercepts are and if it opens up or down. Okay? And we'll get into more about the vertex and axis symmetry and all that good stuff with our intercept form. Not today, on another day. But guys, I wanted to make sure you guys can still do it where you can identify what the equations are. All right? So we'll get a little bit more into intercept form on another day. But I wanted you guys to recognize what the roots are. So guys, for number 2 here, let's look at this. What would my roots be? What would be one of my X-intercepts? Positive 3. What would be the other X-intercept? Negative 5. Excellent. So that's 3, 0 and negative 5, 0. And my A value is negative 2. So it's going to be a sad face and open down. All right? And then last but not least, what would be my X-intercept on number 3? Positive 2 and negative 2. So 2, 0 and negative 2, 0. And my A value in this case is a 1 because there's nothing in front of it. So it's going to be a happy face and open up. All right? So we're going to do more with the intercept form on a different day, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys were familiar with it a little bit. All right? So thank y'all so much. You guys did an awesome job. Paying super good attention today. Thank you.